Hey there, party people. My name is Christopher Mazurk with Maslow, and today we're going to talk about social media basics for small businesses. Yeah! Okay, so we're talking about social media, and a lot of business owners come to me and they say, hey, Chris, how do I set up my social media profiles so that they look good and that they get me what I want and all those other kinds of things? So the first place that I want you to think about that's super important for any small business owners is know what your KPIs are going to be, your key performance indicators. So we want to keep it really, really simple. I want to have a leading indicator and a lagging indicator. So our leading indicator is going to be the number of impressions that your content is getting, meaning how often is Facebook putting your content in front of your audience? As you probably know, each social media platform has an algorithm where they make it a little bit more difficult to get in front of your audience than you probably want it to be. So that impression count can be a good indicator of a bunch of different things, namely how interesting your content actually is to your visitors, right? To your end users, to the people that are looking at it. Because if your content is naturally more interesting, then, the tide's going to rise, everything's going to be good. People are going to watch it, click it, all that kind of stuff, and you're going to get more impressions. So that's why that's the first KPI I want you to look at. The second KPI, the lagging indicator, is the number of clicks from your social media posts through to your website. So you need to make sure that Google Analytics is connected so you can see that correctly, because sometimes social media will give numbers that are a little bit different than what you're actually getting. I'm not sure why they do that. They just like to take credit for things that maybe aren't real. So make sure Google Analytics is connected so you can see when people click through from Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter or Pinterest or whatever it is and come over to your website. Okay, so the second thing, and I can't stress this enough, is make sure that every single piece of content that you put on your social media platform has a compelling call to action. If you're putting content out there that's like a picture of a puppy, I'm going to love it, but I'm not going to click on it to find out what's on your website. And hey, guess what? You're in business. So you got to make sure that people are driven to click from that social media post through to your website, where then you're going to give them that content that's going to compel them to fill out a form, and then you're going to get their email address. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Okay, now that we've talked about KPIs and we've talked about calls to action, we're going to talk about setting up your social media platform. So each social media platform has basics about the dimensions of your background images. We're going to link those in that PDF that I mentioned. When you come over and visit our website, you'll have access to all that. So you don't have to dig around, because it can be a total pain in the neck to find it for all the different platforms. So you just want to make sure that you have an image that is going to fit the recommended sizes that the social media platform gives you. Now you can work with a graphic designer for that image, or we have a lot of clients that just go to Canva, so canva.com, and can build it on their own. It's really awesome, and we highly recommend it. So the next thing, now that you've got your dimensions nailed down, is you have to make sure that you have the basic information in there. So your hours of operation, a bio about your company, the employees, all that kind of stuff. Just go through. It's going to take 30 minutes to an hour, and fill out all those questionnaire questions that they ask you when you're setting up your business account with your social media platform. And the third and final thing that I'd like you to do when setting up your social media platform is invite everybody you know to follow it. But most importantly, if you've got employees, make sure that they register as employees of your company. So what do we got here? We've got awesome graphics. We've got all your information filled in and up to date. And you've got some followers right off the bat. Your business social media accounts are good to go. Okay, so now that you've got everything set up, the next thing that I want you to do is to connect with a publication tool, because the cadence, the regularity of your content, and the predictability is how you're going to grow your visitor list and grow your audience, right? So there's a tool that you can use for free for up to 3 social media accounts, and that's Hootsuite.com. So Hootsuite lets you go in and plug in Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and you can choose 3 of those, and you can schedule your posts ahead of time. And that's really what I'd like you to do, is make sure you're creating content and scheduling it for 30 or 60 days out. Keep creating content regularly and scheduling it ahead of time. That way you won't have to worry about it. You can always go in and tweak it if stuff happens where the content needs to change, but creating that cadence is key. And you can use Hootsuite, which is a free tool that will allow you to do that. Now, here's my little hack with Hootsuite. First, if you are a B2C or business to consumer company, meaning you sell products, then you want to make sure that you're using Twitter. Everybody's got to use Twitter because Twitter and Google love each other. So Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Those are your three that you're going to use off the bat, right? Meanwhile, if you're a B2B company, business to business, the three you're going to use are Twitter, once again, Facebook, once again, and LinkedIn. So no longer Instagram. You might say, hey, Chris, businesses still love Instagram. Yeah, that's true. But if you're a true B2B business, let's say you're a managed service provider or you sell software or something like that, the people that are going to be following you on Instagram, maybe you're going to be more to have fun. The people that are going to be on LinkedIn, those are the guys that you want to reach out to. So set yourself a free account on Hootsuite. There's another service called Later.com that people really love. The interface is a little bit more friendly. The only downside is they don't have LinkedIn support. So you can still get access to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, but not LinkedIn. So you'll have to do that manually. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We'll cover that in a future video. But Later.com is a really strong competitor to Hootsuite. The only other downside is there is no free option. You have to pay a little bit. I think it's like $10 a month, no big deal. They're a good alternative to Hootsuite. Okay, so the next thing I want to cover, I want to go back over it one more time, is that concept of consistency. We just talked about it with why would you set up Hootsuite, why would you set up a calendar? So here's why consistency is important. In every single social media platform, engagement and the amount of times that people like your stuff and look at your stuff and just hover over it and pause for a second, that is what those social media platforms use to indicate if they should put your content back in front of your audience in the future. So the best way to help with that is to make sure that your content is showing up consistently. So I'm talking, if you're a business, you probably want at least once a week, maybe 3. Our clients do 5 times a week, Monday through Friday. And it's always going to show up at the same time for each business. So your audience knows, hey, if I pull up my phone when I'm taking my morning coffee break, I could go on and like, XYZ company's content. And that's what Facebook wants. That's what Twitter wants. That's what Instagram, they all want that. So make sure that you're being consistent and setting up a schedule that your audience can expect. And the last and final tip in setting up social media for small businesses is to grow your list. All those likes you're getting on Facebook aren't going to do much for you except maybe get you more impressions. But at the end of the day, if Facebook changes their algorithm, which they are prone to doing constantly, you risk losing access to that list that you've built or being able to get in front of your list in the way that you want to. So what I want you to do is grow your company's mailing list. Again, think about that call to action. You want to drive people back to your website, gate that content behind really simple form, maybe just asking for your email address, and make sure that that gets into your newsletter service provider. Right now, we're recommending MailChimp, for example, and continue to grow your list. And then you can send out that newsletter once a month, or if you have a really killer seasonal offer, you can send that thing out and make sure that it's actually getting in the inbox of your end users, of your viewers, so that your message can be seen. Okay, thank you for joining me, Christopher Mazurk, with Mazloy today as we talked about social media basics for small businesses. I would like to invite you to visit our website, Mazloy.com, to download a PDF with a bunch of additional information related to this video. Thank you.